updated. We've got a patch. What? We have a patch in 2 weeks, right? Next week we get the patch notes, we get the PTS, and then the week following that is going to be the patch. It's like a new season. However, Tyra and Smite are doing it. There should be some changes. So in 2 weeks, we might be looking at this not being even remotely accurate. Who the f knows? We'll see. But let's start off with this. Achilles. I'm gonna throw Achilles in A+. I think he's a solid solo laner. I don't think he struggles with anything other than early game clear. Agni, I think, is still one of the better mages in the game, especially for ranked. If you want to win mid games, get through your first 3 to 4 levels as Agni, get to level 5, and the game's pretty smooth sailing. AMC, kind of a struggle bus, really easy to kill, dies too much. Pwash, I think I had A+ before. We're gonna throw him into A. I think he's good, but I think in the late game, it's way too easy to dive him, so I'm gonna leave him in A. I'm gonna move him down to A from A+. Amma, not really doing too much right now. She's okay. We're gonna leave her in A. On her is an extremely average hunter. A. Anubis, kind of poop. It's too easy to build anti-heal right now. I'd say a horrible pick, honestly, for this meta. Feels weak. Builds don't even really work for him as well as they work for other mages. Ao Kuang, SS. If we're arguing Ao Kuang out of SS, I think you're a troll. Aphrodite, pretty low tier. Hard to play healers right now. Apollo, another average hunter. Arachne. Arachne sucks. I'm sorry. The builds don't benefit Arachne. The starts don't benefit Arachne. And I had a bunch of people when I did an Arachne video and talked about the start, they were like, just put 3 spiders on the back camps and clear our. If the spiders pull aggro and die while you're doing any camp, the camp runs back to its spawn. So Arachne start can literally ruin the entire game from you at level 1. So Arachne is just not it. Ares, strongly performing support overall with the aura builds. You can go 5, 6 aura items, 5 aura items, and basically make your team unkillable. But his problem is still he's no hard CC and he's difficult to play. Artemis, I'd put Artemis above these gods. Laning phase struggles, but team fight's really not terrible. Just have to full commit and dive. And I think dive comps are going to see a pretty big comeback soon. We already see a lot of diving anyway, but I think diving might be like full blown meta, especially if everyone's going full defensive auras. RDO, extremely average as a solo laner, not really played anywhere else. I'd actually say B tier for RDO. I'd say average, like very, very average. Athena, I think Athena is a good pick in solo. I think it's good to pick support. I don't think it's OP, but I think it's easy to play. Atlas is probably the best support in the game right now for ranked. Wheelix is an amazing pick, really low cooldowns on the ultimate. There's lots of knockups being played in the game. You got Bacchus in the meta, so Wheelix is solid and just a good combo overall on top of all the leaps. Baba Yaga, I think Baba Yaga is undervalued right now. I think Baba Yaga being able to quick stack every mage build is potentially viable really right now. I think Baba Yaga slams. Late game, you one shot. She pumps, and her ultimate's a lot better than it used to be a long time ago, so she really is a good god. Bacchus, I throw into A+, solid support, good initiator. Outside of that, he's not crazy. He's not dumpstering lane. He can be counterplayed, so we're gonna put him in A+. Baka, I don't know who said Baka was OP. I'm gonna put Baka in average picks. If you somehow get into the mid game and you're able to farm and just focus on farming with any amount of early game kills, which shouldn't be consistent, but it is possible, Baka can be played, so average. Baron, super mid tier, but a pick you can play in multiple roles, mid, support, maybe solo. Bastet, I think, is a very good assassin. I'd say because she's lacking CC, I'd maybe argue A+, but I could also see you arguing S. She's not prioritized right now, where I think Baba Yaga should be. I think Baba Yaga is just very, very good and gets through all the time. Where Bastet, you can pick it. It's a lot of damage, but not necessary. Bellona, I'd say Bellona's average. I don't know why. I see a lot of you guys argue about Bellona or ask about Bellona. She doesn't really do anything. She doesn't even pick that much. It's easy to counterplay around. Her initiation isn't insane. Her sustain isn't insane. She counters hunters, but hunters aren't really being played right now too much. They're definitely not the most important person on the team, so we're gonna leave Bellona at B tier. Kabrakan, I'll leave an A tier if you want pressure in that duo lane. It's good, solid support, and can be played in the jungle. It's a one shot. Camazotz, solid pick for the solo lane, wouldn't play in the jungle. Cerberus, low tier god, I'd say average. Not quite useless, but average. CERN, still a solid ADC, a little outplayed by the top ADCs. Not a bad team fight, not a bad laning phase, gets a lot out of a sustain. Chalk, I'd say Chalk is average. We know that. Chalk falls off late game. It is irrelevant. Trunga, I'd say, is average. Definitely better than these gods. Has playability in the mid and in the jungle, but it's not really that strong. Charybdis is extremely average as an ADC right now. Chernobog, more on the CERN level with that global ultimate, basically able to split push and be in every team fight at the same time. Chiron is performing top tier right now. It's probably Rama, Ishtar, Chiron as your actual hunters that you should be playing in this meta if you want to play a hunter and you go ability based and he's just pumping, never banned, easy to play. Chronos will win you every rank game. Chronos can be played jungle, mid, ADC, and solo. You can split push the whole time. You can team fight late game. You can one shot. Full build is nuts. You're two-shotting towers late game. I think Chronos is probably the best ranked god in the game to win a match. If you are trying to have a very high win rate, win consistent games, learn how to play Chronos, play Chronos. Cleo's a top jungler still. Damage is just nutty, unmatched. Cthulhu, low tier, maybe a solo laner. Outside of that, he doesn't have much of a place in this game, in this meta. Cullen, I'd throw into A+. Very easy to play. You pretty much just W key. Usually win early game guaranteed because of your transitions, and solid pick overall. Still is a warrior. You got to position and play better in the late game than you used to because you do die. Cupid, average. Counter picks a couple gods, which should not be prioritized. Dodgy, solid pick. I'd say she's a Wheelix level. She has a really good team fight. She does a lot of damage in the mid to late game. Her early game's not bad because you can burn beads. So we're going to throw her into that A+ tier. Danza, I'd say, is a good pick right now. I don't think he's great. Doing a lot of damage, and he's actually a big threat in that duel lane. Disco, we'll put Disco into A+. For ranked, I would say she's certainly A+ if you're queuing with somebody who can benefit from the passive. If you're solo queuing ranked, I would not play Discordia and rely on your teammates to use that passive. I like solo queue and maybe bump her down, but you're probably duo queuing, so she is something you can play. Erlang Shen sucks. I don't know why you would play it. ESET is extremely average right now in mid and support, and I wouldn't play it anywhere else. Fafnir is a solid support, definitely buffing a lot of these comps. These mage ADCs can then burn objectives even faster. Some value on Fafnir, plus he's hard to kill. Fenrir was overrated before. I think Fenrir is a good pick, and he definitely complements teams and fills standard roles. I don't think he's as OP as anyone thought he would be. Strong god, probably better at like bronze, silver level. Not as good once you start getting a gold, plat, diamond. Freya, I think Freya's a very good pick. I don't think she's top tier. I think she's the worst of the ADC mages now. Where before I probably would have said Chronos, but Chronos just doesn't go ADC, you go ability based. Ganesha, solid support, no problem with him if you're able to play him correctly and land your ults and make use out of your ults. Solid god. Geb, same as Ganesha, just initiating and using your abilities properly, and you're solid. Gilgamesh, I'm going to put down to the B tier. I just don't think he's that good. I think he's extremely average. Guan, I think I'd probably put Guan into average tier. I think Guan's a little bit better than average tier. Into the late game team fights, he becomes kind of just a wrecking force where most warriors are just W king. Guan is shredding protections and then peeling, CCing, and healing his teammates. A little bit more than a lot of these other warriors. Hachi, I'd say Hachi's a very good ADC to be safe, but not a strong ADC to win the game or win the lane. Hades, performing insanely well in the solo lane. Don't play it anywhere else. Hebo, possibly the best god in the game. Probably the best god in the game for ranked currently. You're guaranteed to kill somebody, and as long as you are playing at all decently, like you're playing average, you can one-shot somebody without ulting in the hyper late game. So value on Hebo. Heimdall, not a crit hunter, not doing too great in this meta. Hell, I wouldn't play Hell right now. Hera is extremely average. You pretty much play around her ult, and that's it, and she's not that good. Hercules, I'd throw Herc into actually a very good pick. I think he's a little underrated right now in that solo role. His early and mid game is a lot more aggressive than some of these other warriors, so he gets kills in lane that people don't expect, and he can rotate earlier than most other warriors as well. Horus, as a support, I think Horus is top tier, 100%. Anywhere else, don't recommend it. I prefer Hebo in the jungle. Works in mid, harder to play in mid because you are constantly struggling with that clear distance and not being ganked on cooldown. Hou Yi, underperforming right now. Gonna throw him into B. Not doing anything with the builds. Hun Bat's a solid pick. Very good jungler. Pretty consistent. No issues with him. Ishtar isn't banned very often, but it is a top ADC. You got really Rama, Ishtar, and Chiron. Izanami, low tier. All she does is clear. Janice doesn't match up with these other mages, in my opinion. I'm gonna put Janice down here in the average pick area. Your average player playing Janice is actually lower than average. If you're talking somebody who plays mid and has like less than 50 games of Janice, that's a C tier level Janice. Do not recommend it. Jingwei is a solid pick that is always safe, benefits from the crit builds, late game can one shot you off of a knockup, and she's got instant rotations. So she's definitely not top tier. I'm not matching her up with Ishtar, not matching her with Rama. But in terms of just playing safe, which is how you want to play the early mid game, and then rotating in at full build, she can do that easily. Yorm sucks. I think Yorm is a terrible god. I don't know why you would play it. Kali, I throw into A+ tier, really good for lower ranks. Khepri, I would throw into A+ here with these dive comps being played so much. Khepri benefits, or yes, he benefits, but he also complements those teams at an extremely high level with the ultimate. He gets to engage, back off, throw an ultimate out, reset, easy peasy. King Arthur, I'd say, is a very good warrior, still doing what he's always been doing. The one thing right now, once you get to the 30+ minute mark, the mages and ADCs can kill the warriors if the warriors are eating the abilities. King Arthur can blink ult, take you up in the air, make you burn your beads, take some damage, and that's an instant advantage that some of these other warriors don't have. So I do like King Arthur out of the solo lane as long as he's not getting farmed early. Kukulkan, average. It's just too hard for him to be consistent. If you're able to position perfectly, you have lots of wards, you'll probably be okay, but you'll never be a consistent wrecking force against good players. Kumba, I throw into A tier. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's average. I think he's pretty good with that cripple, and he catches people off guard still. Kuzimbo, I think, is just doesn't have a great place where he excels. I don't think he's terrible. I just don't think there's anywhere to play him really consistently. Lancelot, I'd probably throw Lancelot in A, and we talked about this on stream tonight. Lancelot, if you watch high-level players, pro players, top-ranked players play him, they're getting in and doing a lot of damage and getting out of fights at 1 health. Lower level players, your average players, are not going to get out with 1 health. They're going to die because they're not playing it at that level, and they might not even get the kill because they're going to die so fast. He's difficult to play in and around team fights where you are focused or CC'd. Loki, I think Loki is a great ranked pick for the jungle. It's really hard to deal with. You have to play gods like run Erendite and actually counter him, and there aren't a lot of them, and there aren't a lot of them that are played right now. Manticore, I think Manticore is better than Hebo. I think Marticarus is extremely broken as an ADC or an ability hunter. I think his ultimate is one of the fastest casting ultimates in the game. I would prefer Manticore coming out of mid or the jungle because that ability build one-shots. The hunter builds, it's a hunter still. You're playing as a hunter. Basically a physical Freya that has more burst and easier clear. Safest clearing god in the game by far next to Nuwa, but no safer god than Nuwa because of the way the ult works and the way the grass works. I think Manticore comes into ranked and should be #1 priority every game as long as you are a human being and can hit your abilities. Maui, I'd say, is the second best support, slightly under Atlas, but we're gonna put him in S tier. Medusa sucks, no value there. Low mobility god that doesn't benefit from any of the builds. Mercury, I'd say, is still the best jungler in the game, just pure assassin jungler. Even after his nerfs, even after the item nerfs, he's still the best performing jungler in the game by far because it was clear. His clear is unmatched no matter what. Merlin, I think Merlin is a great pick, core to any team. He's hard to play safe because of how easily you're dove, but if you're a good Merlin player and you play on your teammates, you'll have solid games consistently. Morgan Le Fay, similar situation to Merlin. You're not hyper safe. If you know how to use your 2 for self peel and know how to drop your kill on top of yourself to do damage and to turn fights, you'll be fine. She does well because she does all that damage over the wall. Same as Merlin. Over wall damage is big. Mulan, I'd say, is I'm saying Mulan's an average pick, man. I don't think Mulan's that good. Most Mulan players go Bluestone Soul Eater, and you can farm them for the first 10 minutes of the match. A Soul Laner that loses the first 10 minutes of the match is worthless. Trash. Garbage. Don't even play it. Naja. I think Naja is cracked as a jungler. I don't think you should play it support. I don't think you should play it solo. But as a jungler, the builds, the damage that Naja is doing, the standard build right now on a squishy will do 2,400 damage on the ultimate late game. So your ultimate, assuming you can land it, does 2,400 damage. That's the big thing. If you play with a team that doesn't have anything to burn Magi's and beads, it won't be consistent playing Naja. But in the early and mid game, you can get enough of a lead to make the late game consistent. Just got to be good at Naja. Neith, I think, is a solid pick for ADC if you're just going to spam those ults into the team fights. Nemesis, I'd say, is probably the same level. I'm struggling with Nemesis and like Dodgy and Naja and Dodgy here. These other gods I'd all say are Dodgy's level. I think I'm gonna move them up to S tier. I think these are really, really good picks. Just consistently. You play Nem the same way you play Mercury. Play it auto attack if you want to hard carry your games. It allows you to solo objectives. It allows you to split push if you need to and just 1v1 anybody. Naja is banned in most games I see. Wouldn't say top ban. I wouldn't be prioritizing Naja, but I would be playing it if I was good at Naja. Will Nem ever be bad? And usually what happens is Nem gets nerfed and people are like, Nem's bad, and then like 2 months later they realize Nem is still really good. Nike, I'd say, is an average pick. It just lacks really appropriate CC at a pro level. You see Nike played a good amount because of how annoying she is, but that annoyance doesn't carry over to ranked, because when you're solo engaging, you're not doing the same as in a calculated team fight like you see at a pro level. Nox, I'd say, is extremely average, borderline C tier. Nuwa is extremely average. She just doesn't do anything right now. Odin, I think, is better than he's been in a long time. Crit Odin in the jungle smacks, by the way, but as a solo laner, he's really relevant in these team fights. A lot of these gods are immobile and you can lock them down. Like, look at the top picks. Odin can lock down Agni. Odin can lock down Mercury. Odin can lock down Hebo. I think Cleo can I don't know if Cleo might lock down Cleo too. I'm not even sure. But you have a lot of lockdown. You can stop a lot of these gods from moving. Even in this tier, you're talking Chiron, you're talking Atlas, you're talking Nem getting locked in. A lot of gods cannot move that are prio picked right now. Oleron was an SS tier. I don't think Oleron is SS tier. I almost want to say Oleron is like A+. I think his ultimate, obviously untouched, still cracked. But they hit the items a little bit, and I feel like it kind of exposed that Oleron isn't as annoying as we thought. And if you're playing as a calculated player, you're not just diving in Oleron all knowing it's going to come out, you're playing around it. He just does. I think people got used to playing him, basically, and he's not doing as well. Osiris, I think, is borderline C tier. I'd say C+ at best. But I know if I put him in a C tier, I'd be mad because I don't think he's as bad as these guys, so we're gonna leave him in B. Pele is a solid pick. I think Pele's, full commit, does a ton of damage, kind of unmatched with that knockup. But at the same time, people can use beads, people can avoid the knockup, people can turn on you. Once you're full committed, you can't get out on Pele. So it's not gonna be any higher than A+. Persephone, I think, is average. Seen a couple people play her. Her ult's still annoying, but it's not enough. Poseidon. I like Poseidon right now. Poseidon, the damage that Poseidon is cranking out, the movement around the map, so your ability to farm. As a jungler, I like him a lot. As a mid laner, I like him, but not quite as much as a jungler. Raw, I'd probably put down here into B tier. His lack of mobility and the way the map's laid out, obviously he can do damage over the walls, but it's very, very difficult. And it's super easy to dive him right now. Raijin, I think, is better than he's been. I don't remember if they buffed him. I think it's just the items. I don't remember if they buffed in one of these patches. I feel like they did, but at the same time, I'm not sure. I'm gonna put Raijin in this A tier. Very good pick in the mid lane right now. Does so much more damage than I remember him doing. Rama, your best hunter next to Ishtar as an actual physical hunter, and Chiron. These two I'd prio pick because their late games are a little bit better than Chiron with their auto attacks and your ability to do objectives. Rama's very simple to play too. You press left click. That's it. Rat, I'd say Rat is borderline A/B. I'm gonna throw him into A. Ability Rat, just pure damage. Ability Rat hits super hard and matches with a lot of these assassins. Raven, I'd put an A+, still the safest jungler, one of the easiest junglers to play, and he's still doing a lot of damage. Scylla. Dude, I think Scylla is the most underrated mage in this game. I actually think every year Scylla is the most underrated mage in the game, and I don't know why. I'm going to put her in A+. I do think people struggle to play her, and I don't fully know why. I do think your average player could probably play Baba Yaga better, just because you can use the ult and walk away in a different aspect where people use Scylla ult in a much different way. They won't use it defensively at all. So I'm going to put her in A+, but I think she's the most underrated mage in the game. Serket fallen down a little bit. Serket's just not performing still because she has to stand still for so long. Between her ultimate and her one, she's not moving in that time. It's so hard to get off a full damage kit. Set, I'd still say, is great. I love Set. I don't love playing Set, but I love Set as a god in the game. Hard to deal with. The burst is just so high in between the sustain. Like, you got burst, sustain damage, you have everything you need as a jungler. You're just lacking CC. Shiva, easiest warrior in the game. If you're wondering what to play in the solo lane as a new solo laner, Shiva's the go-to. Scotty, average. Lack of mobility makes her hard to play. Sobek. Dude, I feel like Sobek's average because the lanes, a lot of these lanes turns into heavy duo lanes, turn into heavy fighting. And Sobek sets up but doesn't fight extremely well. So I'm going to throw Sobek into B tier. Soul, I think Soul is still amazing. Mid or ADC. Probably the best mage ADC for you to play. Sun Wukong, average. Stop playing Sun Wukong. If you want to win, stop playing Sun Wukong, please. For the love of God. Surtur. This is another one where I was a little wrong. They did nerf him twice. I think Surtur's A+. I think most lanes Surtur bullies. All right, Surtur wins lane 1 to like 10, 11, 12. Unless you're ganking him. If you gank him pre-5, he's nowhere near as annoying. But once you get into the late game, he just dies. His stun is too short. I think that's the big issue. His CC stun is not a long stun. Like, not talking about the range. I'm talking about the amount of time you're stunned. It's very short. And I think that punishes him. He just doesn't get any real annoying damage off a lot of the time. So once you hit like the 25-minute mark, he's one of these, like, there's way better warriors to play in my opinion. Susano, definitely matching up with Cleo and Mercury. You can insta-kill in your 2 when auto-attack canceling. And I think that, as well as having probably the best assassin teamfight ult in the game, you have to put him in SS tier. He's banned in almost all my games. Sylvanas, I'd say, is a solid duo support. Wouldn't play him anywhere else. He gets pressure. He needs to be rotating around. You need to be ulting as many times as you can in the early to mid game. Terra, I'd say, is average right now. Her ult's just not doing enough. Thanatos, I think, is a good pick. I'd say high risk, high rewards. I'm gonna put him up here. The Thanatos is not a bad pick at any point. Late game he's still good, mid game he's good, early game he's good. He'll win you more rank games, gold and below, than probably any other assassin consistently, but it's high risk, high reward. The Morrigan, extremely average in this meta. Not doing anything in any role. Like, out of the mid, you're just not doing anything. Thor, I think, is a great pick right now. I don't think you should be banning him. I think if he gets through, you can play him in jungle and solo. I've seen him playing in mid. Solid pick. His damage late game is ridiculously high. It feels so much better than he has for a long time. Thoth, above average. Good pick. Gets dove by most gods easily, but the distance you have compared to most mages, if you are playing at that max distance and you're positioning well the whole game, you're never going to get seen and you're going to kill everybody. Tiamat, wouldn't ban Tiamat, but one of the better mages. One of the safer mages, one of the tankier mages, and the damage combos for late game are ridiculous. The slow ult from Tiamat into a 2-1 combo will one-shot somebody. Just the 2-1 combo actually landing, and it's guaranteed landing off the slow you have. It's ridiculous. I've also seen the tornado from the ultimate do 1400 damage without knocking somebody up. So Tiamat's pumping. Plus the annoyance of the split push at all times. Tsukiyomi, I think, is slightly above average. More damage in the game gives him the opportunity to really just get in and do a lot of damage with his ultimate. Not quite one shot, but enough to make it so you don't insta-die when you land. So I do like Tsukiyomi. I don't think he's quite average, but I would definitely not higher. Like, I'd much rather you have dodgy Thanatos, Kali than a Tsukiyomi in the jungle. Tyr is a really good annoying solo laner right now. His rotation potential is ridiculous. Ul is a solid ability hunter, not quite as good as Chiron, but he's up there. Vamana, they nerfed the mitigation build, so you're seeing a lot less Vamana. I'm going to put him down here in the A. I'm not going to fully drop him into B. The mitigation build is still there. It's just not as powerful. Vulcan. I love Vulcan, but you can't play Vulcan into these comps, man. You're trying to play Vulcan into Morgan Le Fay, into Merlin, into Susano, Mercury, Cleo. You just die. You physically can't peel for yourself and stay safe in the mid to late game when there's no towers to set under. You just die. Shibalake got the buffs, wasn't enough. I'd probably put Shibalake into B tier, just beat out heavily by Lice Hunters. It's mainly the items, but Shibalake is not performing well. Xing 10, I think, is a good pick for support. Decent in the solo lane, one of the safer gods in the game. Very annoying god. Usually counters Hunters, but since Hunters aren't played that much, doesn't have as much relevance. I think Yamoja is the third best support. Maybe the best. But the problem with Yamoja is she's harder to play than Atlas. She's harder to play than Maui, and it's much easier to miss abilities or mess up, which just makes these way more consistent picks. So that's why I'm gonna put her in the A+. If you're a top tier Yamoja player, I'd rather have you on the team than a top tier Atlas player. Ymir, average. Too easy to kill, bro. You're always out of position. Too easy to kill. Yu Wang, best mid mage in the game next to Agni. Easier to play, one-shotting late game still there. Agni just has consistent damage, so if you don't one-shot somebody, you miss abilities, the Aegis, whatever, you have more damage coming out at that exact instant. Yu Wang has to wait, and I think that's the one thing Agni has over Yu Wang. Yu Wang's a little bit safer than Agni, though. Zeus, I don't mind Zeus right now. I don't think Zeus is average. I think Zeus is above average. If you are going to play, you know, you're going to play your Thoth, you're going to play any of these mages, your Alpwash, then you can play Zeus. Zeus's damage is nuts. I played against a Zeus, I think it was like last week. he ulted me. He ulted me. It ticked one time for 1100, and the items procced on me, and it did like 2k damage off of a one tick of the ult. Max, that's hyper late game. That's 3k pot, red pot, fire giant. If you can just walk into a Phoenix and press ultimate and do that, which very few mages can really do as an initiator, how do you beat that? You don't. So here's my tier list. What patch are we on right now?
10.3.
Is it 10.3? Or I think we're about to have 10.3, right? Or are we about to have 10.4? Oh, maybe we're on 10.3. We're gonna have 10.4.
I thought we were having.
Oh, I forgot Zhong. Zhong. Dude, I think Zhong is average. I legit think Zhong is average. Oh no, he's gone. He didn't go down here. All right, well, Zhong is, where'd he go? Zhong is supposed to be in the average tier. Did he go somewhere else? Yeah, he did. Okay, cool. Zhong is average. Doesn't have a lane he really excels in. Definitely not mid. Too easy to kill him. Definitely not solo because tanky Zhong isn't doing anything. A lot of these gods that are good in the game will kill you through your ult, through your defense, through whatever. The sustain isn't as important. It's 10.2 bonus right now. Oh, so we are about to have 10.3. Thor should be higher? Nah, you shouldn't be banning Thor. There's literally no reason to ban Thor at all.